Hey everybody, thank you so much for clicking on this video. Today we are back with another installation of the TikTok Roundup. In case this is your first time here, this is a monthly series I do where I just round up all of the content that I've seen online. I pick about 10 videos and we're going to go through and we are going to talk about if they are good or bad. Specifically, we've been doing a format where I swipe right or left on them. You guys seem to really vibe with that. And then at the end of the video in the community tab, you get to actually vote on the best piece of content from that month. We do have a winner from last month. It was a very tight race, but it is
the clothes that we wear to the gym, they are gym outfits.
It was a very close race last month, so this is why every single vote counts. So without further ado, let's hop into this month's content. I wonder if I'll ever be able to debulk after years of athletics and hard training. I want to read the caption before we dive into this. So few people talk about the debulking process and how frustrating and long of a journey it can be, especially coming from a background of heavy lifting and athletics. If you're in the same boat and want more tips on how to debulk, let me know in the comments. So let's clear something up really quickly. First and foremost, bulky is a subjective term. It doesn't actually really mean anything. Subjective simply just means that the definition of that word and what it looks like is in the eye of the beholder. That being said, most of the time when you see someone who you might deem as bulky, it actually has very little to do with their workout and has a lot more to do with their nutrition. So really, I would argue that like a debulk isn't about your training. It isn't about lifting heavy weights or lifting lighter weights. It's actually about going into a cut. You know, if you're lifting heavy enough weights to provide the stimulus to your body to build muscle, but you're not seeing it, that doesn't have to do with the training. That has to do with your nutrition. When you build muscle, but you have layers of fat on top, that is going to create a bulky look. But this content creator, from the multiple videos that I've seen of theirs now, seems to be perpetuating this idea that lifting heavier weights, again, heavy is relative to each person, but lifting heavier weights will make you bulky. And it looks like right off the bat, the monthly osteoporosis chat is coming in early. Any content swaying women away from lifting heavy weights, again, lifting heavy is relative to you. Any content that does this is not good content. Any coach who does this is not a good coach. The reason for that is because they are being irresponsible with your health. All of the information that we have access to right now shows us that women do better with their long-term health if they have a history of strength training consistently. This person is actively doing a disservice to her followers, and I am sure that she thinks maybe that she's doing the right thing, because right now in our society, there's this idea that skinny equals healthy, or that you can like see someone's health on their body all of the time. You know, we have the head of HHS saying that like he can walk through the airport and see that children have metabolic diseases just by looking at them. I think that the point that I'm trying to make is that what this person is saying doesn't make any sense. It's not supported by science. It's not in the best interest of your health. And the idea of being skinny at any cost is doing more harm than good. So we're going to swipe left on this guy.
How long does it take to go from size 18 to size 12 with indoor walking? Starting Monday, September 15th, we're kicking off an indoor walking challenge for women over 180 pounds. Just 7 minutes a day to reduce belly fat. By September 20, you'll feel it. By September 30, you'll see it. By October 10, others will see it. Tap the screen to join.
Damn, I hope I can keep that song in. All right, so this is just like the typical, like, do this for 7 minutes a day, and by this time, you'll feel it. By this time, someone else will see it, and by this time, your taxes will be filed. I don't know. That's not how life works, but if this is the thing that gets you up and moving and gets you started on a consistent movement routine, more power to you. But I want to teach you guys some basic biomechanics, because this AI shit makes no sense. We're just going to go frame by frame, because you can see here that they have these little pop-ups on the side that shows you, basically just shows you what you're working on. And most of these don't make any sense for multiple reasons. This person's doing like a tap with their foot on the chair. That's going to work your hip flexors. So that's the opposite side of your body. Ooh, what is this doing? Yeah, so she's punching up and it says you're going to work your forearms. We all love those sleek forearms. That's going to be more like anterior delt. But we also have to remember the fact that there's no resistance here except for gravity. So unless you are like absolutely beginner, have never moved your body before in life, you're going to need some weight here. You need some added resistance if you want to build some muscle mass. This isn't necessarily talking about building muscle mass. This is talking about losing weight in X number of days by doing like this walk fit app or whatever this is. But it is insinuating spot reduction because of all of these little graphics up on the side. All right, so the next one, yeah, that one's actually accurate. So that is going to be anterior delt, but again, we have no resistance. What do we have here? Okay, so we've got glutes again. So that's actually going to be hamstring, not glutes. And then that's a lot of back and upper trap. Ooh, we'll give it to them. Like, yeah, that is back, but once again, there's no resistance. Also, the resistance here is not this way, it's this way. So again, this is actually anterior delt because the only resistance in these videos is gravity. A little kick out. That's not going to work your abs at all. Maybe stabilizing on one leg. But if we're talking about actually growing the abs, that's going to be spinal flexion. This doesn't work your glutes. That's more hip flex or quad. I don't know why that would target your thighs or your quads. Okay, and that's enough. So yeah, if it A seems too good to be true or B seems like AI nonsense, we want to swipe left.
A big reason why I started my skinny girl summer journey is because I was so tired of wasting my potential. I'm so tired of feeling fine or just okay with my body, as if I have to just deal with it. And my whole life, I was told that the reason why I was fat was because I have a slow metabolism and I was big boned. If you know, you know. And then I got older and the body positivity movement started to kick in, and I was told that I had to love my body even though I didn't really like it. But that gaslighting never worked on myself. I still didn't like my body. And now I just want to be skinny. I'm so done with holding myself back with those limiting beliefs. I want to have the body of my dreams. And I want to wear whatever I want and still feel so sexy and confident. And I am a healthy, able-bodied person. There is no reason why I can't achieve it. So I am done with those lame excuses. And I am so done with feeling sorry for myself. I will have the body of my dreams. I can't wait to be hot and skinny. And that is exactly why I started this journey. And I'm so excited.
I have two main takeaways here. So first is this talk of like body positivity or the body positivity movement. And that concept, I think, does come from a good place. But the main idea is like you love your body at any size. And I think that's a little too like sunshine and rainbows for me. I think a better way to approach how you feel about your body is the idea of body neutrality, which basically just means that you don't have to love your body at all times, but we're also not going to hate our body. It's more just like your body will ebb and flow during different phases of life and acknowledging that, and that's it. So basically taking the moral judgment off of your body. So the other thing that I want to take away from this video is like, once again, we're equating skinny with healthy. And this creator kind of like rolls her eyes at the idea that some people could just be bigger boned, or some people could just have a slower, lower metabolic rate than other people naturally due to genetics, due to environmental factors, lifestyle factors, whatever. And look, there is a lot we can do day to day, like with our choices, but we do have to remember that like genetics do actually play a fairly large role in our body composition as well as our health. And, you know, for some people, whatever they deem as skinny, because remember that just like bulky is a subjective term, what they deem as skinny might actually not be achievable to them, at least not in a healthy way. You know, this is one of the reasons why like I'm fine with aesthetic goals. I know there's people online that think that I'm not for whatever reason. I'm fine with aesthetic goals, but I think we also have to factor in health, because this woman and many others could get skinny in a lot of ways. A lot of those ways aren't healthy though. You know, on the flip side, instead of framing this as my goal is to be skinny so I'm healthy, maybe we reframe it as a fat loss goal while supporting our long-term health. Talking about our habits, strength training 2 to 3 times a week. Are we getting in 7,000 to 8,000 steps a day? Are we getting our heart rate up a few times a week with some cardio? Are we eating nutrient dense foods? Are we focused on our sleep and our stress management? Like there's so many things that we can talk about to improve our health and, you know, probably get closer to that skinny look that you want, but it's coming from a place of supporting our health and not just an aesthetic outcome that happens to be very trendy right now. I just truly think that we need to move away from our goals in training as I'm going to be skinny, and we need to look at it as I want to be healthy. And people can do whatever they want online, but I think especially if you are somebody who has an influence, it's irresponsible to do it this way. So we're gonna swipe left.
I just finished teaching about Pilates class and I kicked my butt. I am so sweaty, I'm tired, so I'm gonna spend the rest of the morning just focusing on me and refueling my body. So let's spend the morning together.
Okay, I'm actually gonna stop the video here because the rest of it is just, I think it's actually an ad, but she's already gotten to the part that I wanna make a point about. She talks about how she taught a Pilates class in the morning and she kicked her own butt, which means that I'm assuming she did the entire workout with the class and she demoed everything. I wanna share something with you guys right now. That's not a real Pilates class. Obviously, like virtual classes or like a hybrid class might be a little bit different, but Pilates instructors do not demo the entire class with their students. In a real Pilates class with a certified Pilates instructor, that person is walking around, they're giving vocal cues, they're giving adjustments as they go. The reason I want to point this out is because the Pilates trend is still going. And like, hey, I have nothing against Pilates. I've done an entire video on Pilates and worked with 2 different certified instructors to talk about the benefits of them and the different styles. But that being said, classes and things like that right now, especially in the Pilates world, are incredibly expensive. So I want to give you guys a little bit more understanding of if you're actually getting somebody who went through the rigorous Pilates training. It's hours upon hours of studying and examinations and in-person trainings and like hands-on coaching versus someone who just kind of looks like a Pilates instructor. So anyway, that is kind of the point that I wanted to make with this video is saving you some money in case you're spending it on something you think is Pilates, but it's not. So we're going to swipe left here.
What are you aiming at? You're gonna do it.
I'm scared.
Your brain is telling you you can't.
I don't want to hit my head.
You're not. I'm right here. Okay, how about this? How about this?
What?
Are you forgetting to bring your legs up? Oh wait, my legs too.
I can't. I'm over time and you gotta go. I can't do it.
Hold on, one more. Wait, one more.
One more, Carly. You need a running start.
Oh! Are you forgetting your legs? Like, start with your legs. Here you go. Start with your legs. Again, start with
Oh
your
my
legs.
god, I don't want to work out right now. I don't want to work out right now.
Oh my God, this girl needs to fire her trainer. Jesus Christ. Okay, first of all, it took you way too long to flip it down to that 20 inches, my man. Second of all, approach box jumps like she was doing are so much harder. And third, I would just argue she's not ready for box jumps. If she really wants to learn how to box jump, we're gonna start her on the floor and just make sure her jumping mechanics are solid. Can she produce and absorb force safely on the floor before we start catapulting her 24 inches in the air? Then once she gets more comfortable with that, I'm gonna pull out like the little 8-inch pads, I think they are. I usually use them when people need some help like with deadlifting. I'll just like elevate, the bar on those guys if we need to bring the floor up to them, but start her there. And I know that might seem silly, but like you got to meet your client where they're at. And this is the reason why we see people online shit on things like box jumps, because you have irresponsible trainers putting their clients in situations where they're going to fail and potentially injure themselves. Because also I got to say, she should not, when she actually got up on the 20 inches, she kept hopping back down with both feet backwards. Girl is asking to rupture her Achilles. So her trainer better have some good insurance. Unfortunately, we're all swipe left so far, so we're gonna swipe left on this guy. We're gonna hope that there's something solid coming up. Oh my God, finally something funny. You guys, the number of times that I have been gaslit into thinking that black bean brownies are going to be good, I don't fall for that shit anymore. Look, if you want to like proteinify everything in your daily eating, more power to you. And I do think that, as a society in general, we have a hard time prioritizing protein sources. And a lot of that comes from the fact that like a lot of our food in the US is ultra processed. A lot of that has to do with the fact that government subsidies for food are going toward those products. They're not going toward things like whole grains, like fruits and vegetables, like sustainable protein sources. So I do get it. Like, can we find these easy ways to like just proteinify certain things? And I think that's totally fine. But you also also kind of then see this again, like there's always an overcorrection, right? Not every single meal has to be super, super high in protein. Sometimes you can just, I don't know, have some normal ice cream that doesn't have like 60 grams of protein in it. It's okay. Sometimes you can like just have a carb. I think the bigger thing here is like we need to do a better job as coaches of like teaching people how to zoom out, look at the big picture, and how to, within people's budget and the area they live in, because there's plenty of places that don't have a lot of access to fresh, healthy foods. How do we give people the best tools to get as much of this stuff in there without needing to rely on things that are black bean brownies? So we're going to swipe right on this and let's look at the next one.
Epidemiological data show that people who engage with religion, not just say I believe in God, but actually engage with faith, over a 15 to 20 year period, it cuts all-cause mortality by 30%, cuts death due to cancer and cardiovascular disease by 25%, reduces anxiety and depression, increases people's sense of meaning and feeling that their life is flourishing.
I'm going to be really careful here. I want to first acknowledge that this is a 28-second clip of a podcast interview that I don't know the rest of the context in. So I'm going to acknowledge that right now. That being said, I think this is a great jumping off point to talk about the social determinants of health. I've talked about this in a number of videos before, but one of the social determinants or pillars of health is a sense of community. Organized religion is one of the easiest ways to jump into a built-in sense of community, especially in a world that is becoming more and more solitary. So I would just push back and want to question, is it religion that's cutting down those percentages of all-cause mortality, or is it the sense of community that happens to come with religion? Having a support system, having a group of like-minded people who you can celebrate good things with or soundboard off of when there's stressful things in your life. I think wherever you fall on the religious spectrum, we can all see that in this country right now, there is a huge push toward having a Christian country. And by pushing or presenting the idea that being religious makes you healthier is a dangerous road to go down. And I actually view it as propaganda because it's not giving you the full picture. And look, if you're religious and you have a great community within your religion or your church, I think that's a great thing. But again, I'm going to push back and really question, I don't think it's religion that's making people healthier. I think it's the sense of community. So if that's the fact, why aren't we investing in community for people who aren't religious? Why aren't we investing in more public spaces? Why aren't we investing in more support groups? Why aren't we investing more in the US in people? I don't actually think the government has any interest in making us healthier, because if they were, they wouldn't be, our healthcare system wouldn't be for profit. That's my tinfoil hat moment. I don't know. We are going to swipe left on this. Again, I'm going to say it one more time. This was a very small snippet, and maybe there is pushback in the rest of the clip, but yeah, I don't like this idea of pushing religion makes you healthy. That's a dangerous road to go down.
90% of what we can actually do as coaches and providers is to just create an unreasonably awesome time for somebody, especially when they are experiencing pain. When I have somebody who has come in and they think that movement is the dangerous thing, but I can make them have fun while they're doing it, I've won. That's rehab. That's training. I don't really care what your diagnosis is. I don't really care what your past medical history is. I'm chasing psychological resiliency and physiological adaptation. If I have those things as my goalposts, I'm going to be fine.
As my coach. This is Katie Dabrowski, physical therapist and strength and conditioning coach based out of Miami, and she's the fucking best. The thing that I want to pull from what she spoke about in this clip is I don't care about a diagnosis. I actually resonate a lot with that as somebody who's in a position of not being able to legally diagnose shit. And because in general, I have a lot of clients that I work with or people that I come across who maybe don't have like right away access to a doctor or medical team or imaging or a physical therapist or whatever. So instead of like harping on or really trying to like figure out what exactly is wrong or pinpoint a potential diagnosis, I'm going to instead build out information and options. Let's say your knee hurts. Okay, cool. What movement patterns? Does it hurt under load? Does it hurt just body weight? Does it just kind of hurt all the time? I'm going to assess the mobility at that joint and the joint surrounding, because a lot of times the joints surrounding the joint that's in pain are actually the cause of the issue. The more information I can collect from you in terms of body feedback, the more options we're going to have to play with in pain-free ranges of motion. Way too often you hear like, I had pain, I stopped doing the movement that caused me pain, and then I didn't have pain again, so I was better. Of course, like if your back hurts doing deadlifts and then you stop deadlifting and your back doesn't hurt anymore. Like, yeah. But what happens when you go back to deadlifting? And this is why you actually like sometimes will hear physical therapists be like, oh yeah, your back hurts deadlifting, just stop deadlifting. It's like, well, that's not the way to approach that. You know, pain sucks, man. Pain sucks, whether it's chronic or acute. It's an annoying part of life, but it is a part of life. And the more that we can learn how to navigate pain and our options around it without just continuously halting our training routine, the longer and healthier you are probably going to live. So we're going to swipe right on Dr. Katie. Let's move on to the next one.
So last night, I fell down a rabbit hole of watching old videos of me pre-pregnancy. And it actually like totally is shocking for me because I did not think I was that tiny and thin at the time. I actually saw myself as being curvy. And I look back and I'm like, girl, where are those curves? You are a string bean. I'm sharing this because I know this is a common thing as our bodies change postpartum and later on in life. Like we look back and we're like, wow, I'm so hard on my body. I never felt like I was lean enough. I was so lean. And I actually think that I was a little too lean, in my opinion, personally. It's not my goal. My goal is not to go back to my pre-pregnancy body. I want to be lean, but I want to have more muscle. I want to have more curves. And it's not a matter of I don't like my body now, or I'm so sad that I don't look like that anymore. Actually, I don't feel that way. But I'm not quite where I want to be yet. Even the amount of progress I've had, I do want to still get leaner. But I don't want to do it at the expense of losing muscle. And this is what I wish more women could really understand about long-term body composition improvements and choosing an approach in your goals for your body that has your long-term health in mind. Because I could get back to that pretty quickly within a few months if I really wanted to, by just slashing my calories down. Like, I know how to do it. It's that I'm choosing not to because I want to prioritize my health. I want to set the example for my daughter that the goal isn't to make my body look like a teenager again or to look like a kid. I want to look like a woman, and I want to prioritize my health as a woman, and getting as thin as possible just isn't it. Getting leaner with more muscle mass as I age is it. And there's a difference between the two. And the difference is when we slash our calories as low as possible to lose weight as fast as possible and just be as thin as possible, we are losing muscle. And then as we age, that catches up with us, right? We don't maintain our muscle mass. We don't maintain our bone density. This is a huge issue that women are facing constantly. So if you are someone who is postpartum, however many months or years postpartum you are, I hope this can inspire you to shift your goals for longevity and for health.
Damn, there were so many good points in that. That is such a good video. This is my friend Erica. I feel like she ends up here every few months because she just has so much great knowledge to share. And especially to like all of the moms out there, I always highly recommend giving her a follow because you can just see she has such a great approach to navigating your health and your body changes postpartum. So anyway, like I said, a lot of good stuff in there. The thing that I want to focus on and touch on and really like kind of expand on is this idea of like how we see ourselves. Because what I've noticed personally and with many clients over the years is that even when we're at our smallest or our thinnest, it's not good enough. You know, you always hear of people being like, oh, when I lose like these last 5 pounds, these last 10 pounds, then I'll finally be happy. And sometimes that happens. And if that's you and that happened, that's amazing. A lot of times you see that it's not enough. Personally, I had this problem a few different times in my life, but the time where I can really remember it was like when I was coaching in a Megaformer studio. This was pre-pandemic and I was thinner than I am now. I also had way less muscle mass, but like body fat percentage wise too, I was just thinner. So I was like very lean, I was very thin, and I had a flat stomach, but I was terrified of like showing my midsection taking class, and I would always have to be like pretty much fully covered up. Whereas now I'm actually like, in a place where, you know, I'm lean, but I have more muscle mass and I have more fat mass than I did in those days. But I actually do like feel comfortable showing my midsection every once in a while. It's not something I'm always comfortable with. That's topic to pull apart in a whole nother video. But what you start to realize is, oh, it wasn't actually about the number on the scale or the body fat percentage or how many rolls I had when I leaned over. It was psychological. This is just another example and another reason why I always try to tack on performance-based goals with aesthetic goals. How much weight can you squat? How many pull-ups can you do? How crisp is your kettlebell swing? Because psychologically, it's going to give you other things to focus on in addition to whatever your aesthetic goal is. But if we get so stuck in just focusing on the aesthetics, I have found with clients, and there's plenty of studies to back this up, we get really fucked up here. So instead of just focusing on what your body looks like, let's start to celebrate what it can do. We're going to swipe right here and we have one final video to round out this month.
I've got to tell you something quite funny. So I saw a podcast episode the other day. It was like an interview with the owner of an electrolyte company, and they said in the past electrolytes have been seen as there for only for people who sweat. And I was like, yeah, that's because they are. Like, this whole marketing towards that everyone should be drinking electrolytes every morning is just so whack. Like, most people, the majority of people definitely do not they don't need electrolytes every day, maybe not even at all. Most people like go and do a 45-minute workout in an aircon gym, hardly break a sweat, then they go walk to work and sit all day in their air-conditioned work. Most people are getting plenty of electrolytes and like salt through their regular diet. Do you remember back 5-10 years ago, people were terrified of salt? They were saying you need to reduce your salt intake. Everything was like low salt, this, no salt, low salt, that. And now people are drinking electrolytes every single morning when they don't need them at all. So like, just a reminder, PSA, that most people do not need electrolytes every single day unless you're doing like long intense exercise and sweating a lot, or you're outdoors a lot in a lot of heat. You really just don't need them. Yeah. The only reason and time I will drink electrolytes is for runs, especially in those summer months. Whew, that was a hot summer here in New York City. That was when I was drinking electrolytes. I don't drink electrolytes post-workout. I don't drink them when I'm sitting at my desk working. And it's exactly what she says. I want to take it a step further and actually talk about the fact that it can be dangerous. If your electrolytes are out of balance, again, we're talking about on the low side. So like your electrolytes are depleted because you did a workout in a very humid or hot climate, or you sweat a ton because it was a very vigorous sport that you were doing or workout you were doing. Yes, electrolytes are needed because it's dangerous if they get too low. It works the other way too. If we're over consuming electrolytes, meaning you already have a good healthy amount in your system and then you're adding on more, that can fuck you up. People have gone to the emergency room because of that. So to the people who are like chugging liquid IV all day at their desk because it tastes better than normal water, I'm gonna tell you to invest in some like Crystal Light instead, because you are going to injure yourself. So our final piece of content, we are going to swipe right on. Whew, finally, we had some good shit this month. So once again, over on the community post page, there is going to be a poll where you can vote for your favorite piece of content from the month. And here's a quick recap of what those were.
%90 of what we can actually do as coaches and providers is to just create an unreasonably awesome time for somebody.
I fell down a rabbit hole of watching old videos of me pre-pregnancy. And it actually totally...
In the past, electrolytes have been seen as there for only for people who sweat. And I was like, yeah, that's because they are.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you have any piece of content you come across that you think would be a good fit for this, feel free to send it over. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future videos, and I will see you all in the next one.